In the year 2000, measles had become eradicated within the United States. With the gross spread of misinformation, there are large cities within the United States that are fighting to contain the measles outbreak. Vaccines have been around since roughly the 1940s, and more recently there have been less and less people being vaccinated, and usually the people that aren't vaccinated are in huge pockets of the country. I have received every vaccine plus more due to traveling and living abroad. I have also done extensive research on this subject for another class and even had conversations with a family member who took care of their own mother that had severe polio. Today I will be talking about why vaccination is a benefit to our health, to others through herd immunity, and eradication of viruses and bacteria. Now let's start with the benefit of vaccines to our health. Vaccines help protect us against viruses and lessen the effects of it. The CDC, which is the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, explained in an article titled "Making the Vaccine Decision," the vaccines are like insurance. They cover you if something is wrong or happens, and if you get the disease around people who choose not to vaccinate, you have a higher chance to have less symptoms than those people that around you who aren't vaccinated. Misinformation of vaccines happened when Dr. Andrew Wakefield lost his medical license in Britain due to publishing a study that linked the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine to autism. He was disputed publicly, and others could never repeat or get the same results as he did from his study. This is a major reason why people tout personal beliefs when not vaccinating their children. While there are those who are religious and can have exceptions, they should be able to turn down vaccines. But there are also laws now that prevent those people from going to school, especially children, when an outbreak is happening, and getting that disease and being able to spread it with other people outside of the school community as well. So we covered the benefit to our own health. Now let's move on to protecting others around us. Herd immunity is basically when a huge group of people or community is basically vaccinated. They choose to do it for their health and for others, because if a bunch of people have herd immunity, it allows people with autoimmune diseases, babies, the elderly, and people that are allergic to vaccines that cannot physically get them yet or have a compromised immune system. It protects them because those people with vaccines aren't able to carry it and transmit it to another person. Next slide, please. California laws have become stricter when talking about vaccines. Here's the reason why. In the National Institute of Health newsletter, they state the measles outbreak in 2005 was traced to one unvaccinated U.S. resident infected during a visit to Europe. The returning traveler infected American children who hadn't been vaccinated for safety reasons. Usually, when you go to a different country, you're told that you should vaccinate against other diseases as well that may not be prominent in the United States, but are still prominent in other countries, especially in the developing countries. There's many that have a higher chance of getting those types of diseases abroad rather than here in the U.S. Which is why in California they no longer allow for religious exemptions as of 2015, but they allowed you to file a letter for your children if you had beliefs that didn't, or beliefs before 2016. So if you did have, or wanted to state that you believe your child shouldn't get it, they allowed you to send a letter. Now a California senator is proposing a law that that would add on to the other one from 2015 that would say that parents have the right to claim personal beliefs, but that their children should be taken, or the person believes should be taken out, and the health department should be the one to decide if those kids should be exempt. Otherwise, everyone else would have to be vaccinated within California. Now that we have talked about how vaccination can protect the ones around us, finally let's touch on the eradication of viruses and bacteria. Next slide. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases showed within a graph that in 2009, vaccines have decreased the amount of tetanus at 98.6% to diphtheria, smallpox, and polio at 100% eradicated within the U.S. And every other disease was basically between 99.1% or 99.9% in between that. But this is from 2009, which doesn't clearly show what measles would be at now with the outbreaks that are happening across the country. Why are we seeing diseases come back? Mostly because a lot of the parents now never experienced or never have been around people who did contract polio or anything, all of the childhood diseases basically. Nobody really understands the effect or how crazy it was when these were around and they were ravaging the country as well as Europe and across the world. It was awful. So that's a main reason, and I think another reason would be there's not enough education about it as well. In conclusion, I have talked about why vaccination is a benefit to our health, how it protects others around us through herd immunity, and the eradication of viruses and bacteria. Being vaccinated is not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of others, so that one day we will not have to live in a world that is full of viruses that once plagued the world, and still do in developing countries. Now is the time that everyone should begin the conversation with others about vaccinating their children and themselves. Thank you.